Welcome to the May edition of the Redden District Angling Association monthly video feedback, although this is of course too monthly, I'm afraid, because due to a bit of staff illness we weren't able to do April, so we'll be wrapping some of the fish caught over both the months of May and April all into this edition. We'll also be hearing from Del on all the work that the Fisheries team have been doing to bring our waters up to scratch, and as usual there'll be our best fishing picture competition, and a look ahead for fishing prospects for the month of June from our Deputy Fishery Officer Jim Stansfield. Right then, time for Fisheries Report with our Fishery Manager, Del Shackelford. Del, before we get on to what you and Jim and the other members of the team have been doing on the fisheries themselves, how have the new online permit sales been going?
Yeah, to say it isn't painful would be a lie. It is a little bit painful. We're trying to get our head around it. It's new to us as well. But surprisingly, and we sort of thought that the older generation, shall we say, would be the ones that struggle.
Right.
But I'd say it's about a 50-50 split. A lot of the older generation have actually got their head around how to do it, you know. So it's not true what they say about getting your granddaughter to do these things. You know, they're coping on their own.
And you've been doing these sessions to help people out?
Yeah, well, what we've been doing is we've been doing sort of 10 till 1 on a Saturday morning all the way through May, just to help people out. A lot of people are coming in and they've got halfway and can't work out how to do it. The actual paying is a bit of we're going to look into trying to get it changed because it seems a bit complicated. So yeah, we've been doing that, and we're going to extend that right through to the start of the season.
And that's going to be here in the
in
the hut in Flint from what time?
From 10 till 1 on a Saturday morning.
Throughout the month of June, yeah?
Yeah, right. Well, it'll be to the start of the season initially.
Right.
If we feel that we need to extend it through to June, then we will. And it's just to mop up sort of like the bits and pieces, and it gives somebody a bit of an option if they're not too confident. And we have got a few people that have come in that haven't got mobile phones.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many people ain't got them actually.
So explain to us the advantage from the club's point of view of having it all online now, particularly from bailiffing as well.
Well, it's twofold. I mean, I'll give you an example where it's proved its worth. Earlier on in the week, somebody on Farnham Flint found a bank card on the bank. Somebody's debit card. Now, you know, we've all lost them over the years, and the first thing you do is panic. Took the name off it, looked through the clubmate system, found his number, phoned him up, said, right, your bank card's been found, it's behind the counter at hut, boom, reunited in minutes.
Fantastic.
You know, that's one advantage. The other advantage is the fact that it creates a database where we can communicate with our members instantly, as opposed to having to individually email people and it going into their spam box and they've changed their email address, that sort of stuff. With the app, it will go to the app and you will get notified that there's a message that you need to read on the app. So it makes that a lot smoother. It also, I mean, putting out 1,500 permits every year is a big task.
It costs money.
You've got the printing, then somebody's got to sit there licking and sticking stamps. If they don't post them out and they put them into tackle shops, someone's got to go around and collect them. The tackle shops, you know, they're there to make money. They're not there to serve, you know, us and sell our wares. So it's reduced all that down, and it's now sort of a job that can be done 2 hours a week.
Fantastic.
You know, so it saves a hell of a lot of labour, and you know, going forwards, the way sort of clubs are going, and we're not the only ones. There's a lot of clubs going that way. We all struggle to find people to do roles within the club. This essentially takes one of those roles out of the equation.
And probably the biggest and most onerous task is permit secretary.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, anybody that's ever done even a club with 100 people, you know, it's a nightmare. You know,
So Del, moving on to fisheries, what you've been up to? I know you've had a bit of a problem with a bit of staff sickness.
Yeah, sickness. Yeah, I'm sick to death. I cut a long story short, I sort of done my back in quite badly. It was the first day of Jim's holiday actually. He booked a week off to go to Tenerife, and I don't even think he got on the plane and I'd crooked myself. essentially it means I haven't been able to do anything. I've been doing light duties, paperwork, that sort of type of thing, and orchestrating Jim. You know, fair play to Jim, he stepped up and he's been really, really busy. So we've been cutting the venues, essentially. It's grass cutting time of the year, this time of the year. As soon as we get anything fall out of the sky, everything goes whoosh, you know, and we've had a little bit of that just lately. So he's been very busy with the strimmer, edge cutter and the mower. We've still got the rivers to do. We leave the rivers to the very last moment. We want to be doing the last venue the day before the season opens.
Yeah.
Because if we do them too early, and we have had a couple of comments from people that like to go and walk down the rivers, or that, you know, they're overgrown, la la la. Well, we leave them right till the very last minute, because
makes sense.
If we were to do them this week, for instance, by 2 weeks' time, it would look as if we hadn't even been there. So we leave them right to the very last minute. We've managed to persuade one of our willing volunteer bailiffs to give Jim a hand. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will go sweet as a nut. Jim won't break anything, and he'll be all right.
And apart from strimming, what else have you been up to?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing sort of note is on the Brownlee, those that remember last year, I can't really remember exactly what month it was, but there was a perfect storm of a low pressure coming in all of a sudden, and we had a bit of a fish kill, oxygen crash on Brownlee. And, you know, we spent a weekend rushing around getting aeration in there and this, that and the other. Unfortunately, we didn't lose too many fish. But we want to try and we want to negate that. We don't want that happening. So what we've done is we've put a couple of pipes in just to get a nice bit of flow through Brownlee. So the water now flows from Englefield into Brownlee, then into Flint. And all that's going to do is just going to keep that water turning over, just ticking over, and hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, it's not an exact science, but fingers crossed, you know, it'll stave off any problems if we get any this year.
Well, Brownlee's has been quite impressive, hasn't it? I mean, the fish we lost were mainly roach rather than anything else, and those bream that you stocked a while back and the roach have been showing well along with the tench. I mean, it's developing itself into a really nice little fishery.
And you know, there's barely a day goes by where there isn't people up there fishing. You know, there's some nice tench to be caught in there. As you said, the bream are in there. There's still a few carp in there. You know, contrary to popular belief, everyone thinks when you electro-fish somewhere, you go out there, put the rod in, and out, boom, everything comes in. That's not how it works, you know. So you don't get everything. So there is still some carp in there. So it's turning into a really nice mixed fishery, and you know, we got plans this winter to maybe put some more bream in there as well. And again, we'll take some of the bigger carp out. Yeah.
And a nice thing with Brownlees, of course, is we've seen those tench breeding as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate in most of our gravel pits around here, from the big pits right to the small ones, all have breeding populations of tench. You know, so
it's pretty rare.
Good. Yeah,
it's pretty rare. We talked a lot in previous videos about the Hatchery project.
Yes.
Do you want to give us a brief update of where you got to?
Well, as you can see, I've got even less hair. We're in limbo at the moment. We managed, I think I said in the last video, although it was a couple of months ago, we've got a guy that's going to help us with the planning sort of process, if you like. He's on board. We've put together drawings and specs, and we've put a couple of covering letters from the Angling Trust, Kennet Valley Fisheries Association, Action for the River Kennet, as well as Newbury. Anybody else that is supporting Englefield State, anybody that's supporting us, we put all that into a pot basically, and we've applied for what they call a pre-planning application. And that is basically for us to gauge whether in principle we've got everything right. They will then come back to us and say, yep, that's fine, but we need to know this for the full planning permission. So it's sort of like a precursor, if you like, and it'll give us an idea as if we're we're likely to be successful.
So we've got planning underway, we've got a site identified, we've got the equipment.
Yep.
All things going according to plan. When are you hoping to be up and running? What are you aiming at?
Well, I'm aiming to have this up and running by February next year. If the plan, because we're reliant on the the local authority and their staffing situation as much as anything else. But it should be 6 weeks for pre-planning, so we should hear something within the next fortnight, 3 weeks on that. Because of a lot of the stuff that you put in for pre-planning, you would put into the full planning anyway. A lot of that work's been done now, so we'll just have to add a little bit to that. So I reckon we'll probably be a fortnight turning that over. So I reckon we'll be looking at the end of June for that, and then we've got a 3-month window for the planning sort of official rubber stamp, if you like. So I'm hoping with a good wind, we should be having full planning permission by the end of September.
And build it over the winter.
Yep, that's it.
Great news. One last point on the Kennet in particular. I noticed you posted a nice little video of some more grayling arriving.
Yes, yeah, it's something we've been doing for, I think it's now the 6th year we've been doing it, minus the COVID, because obviously with the COVID going on, it didn't happen. And we've been putting juvenile grayling in. We've been going up with the Environment Agency up. It's a nice day out, to be fair. You get to fish some of the trout fisheries further upstream, which is always nice. So we go upstream. There's a gang, normally about 10, 15 of us from the Environment Agency and the local fisheries, and we catch as many female, male grayling as we can. They then get bussed up to Calverton. Calverton strip them, bring the fish on till they're sort of 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. Then they bust back down here, and then we stick them into the Kennet. And these grayling, I keep waxing lyrical about anybody that shows me a picture of a grayling, because it's something that it was an idea that sort of went a light bulb moment at a game fair, and it was actually the Angling Trust and the Grayling Trust, or the Grayling Society, I think they are, at the stall next door. And I went, do you know what, I reckon that I could get them to go in the bottom of the Kennet now, and had a chat with those. And it was a light bulb moment, spoke to the EA, they came on board, and there we are, and people are catching grayling now in parts of the river that, haven't seen grayling for years and years and years and years. And it also, everything leads on to everything else, and that's why we're in the situation with this hatchery, because of the success of the grayling reintroduction. The light bulb moment for the hatchery came along.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, if grayling will sustain, almost any other species.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, that's the next step. Is sooner or later we're going to have to say, right, boom, that's it, boys, you're on your own, and girls, you're on your own, and we're going to stop introducing them and see how they go from there. That's going to be the real proof in the pudding. But I think we'll give it another couple of years where we're sort of because it's nice to go and fish up a river.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thanks for that, Del. An awful lot of good things happening.
Yeah.
Well, there's some great photos there, but to be fair, it's 2 months worth. Although,
Yeah.
Del, you could wipe out a couple of weeks in April because that weather was awful.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
But didn't Wilmots come good for us?
Yeah, I mean that's why we built Wilmots. We built Wilmots so that kids could go fishing. It was always meant to be a dads and lads thing, and it never ceases to amaze me how popular it's become. There's not a day goes by where there ain't, fathers and sons and even mums and daughters. It's really good. It's proven its worth without a shadow of a doubt.
And in beautiful condition, those fish.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, most carp puddles, if you like, you go to, people complain about the condition of the fish and this, that and the other. And obviously, you get the odd one, obviously. But by and large, the fish are fantastic. And we're always getting, complimented on how well the fish look.
And it was a real lifesaver during April in that cold weather because Wilmots continued to fish well, didn't they? No problem at all.
The guys on the Tuesday matches, they've been getting sort of 80s, 70s, 60 pounds. I think it was last week. Somebody won it at £64.8 or something, and second place was £64.
Yes, that's John Berry. He got beaten by 8 ounces. He hated that.
Yeah, exactly. He should have shoved a few more bits of pellet down its throat before he weighed in. But,
I think so.
But yeah, it's proven to be really, really.
Yeah, and great to see those kids catching their first fish. But anyway, the month of June, the month of May in particular, and the end of April, that's Tench time, and it's not disappointed this year, has it?
No, it's been. Last year was a bit hit and miss, but this year it's made up for it without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, and waters, I think the sort of. It's funny how things snowball. A few people catch a few tench and start making a big deal about it, and then more people go, and you then start seeing more fish getting caught.
Yeah.
And people are catching tench now on venues that you wouldn't necessarily associate with tench fishing.
Well, Cottage Lane's a case in point, isn't it?
Exactly. If you were to talk about Cottage Lane, everyone would say, "Oh, it's somewhere to go and catch carp." Da-de-da-de-da. Well, Rob Wilton has just proved otherwise. The day after Rob posted on Facebook about his catch, there was about 15 cars in the car park up there. Now that's fantastic. Because like I say, the more people that fish it, the more that are going to come out. So
No, I'm delighted, and I think we've got to have give our bailiff and national tench specialist Andy Dodd
I've never heard of him.
No, that's right. Well, we did a lovely video the other day, which is going really well on our YouTube channel, and we've had compliments on that from all over the country. You can catch the smaller tench in Brownlee's, even in Callows, and some of our other waters. You could target Farnham Flint or Englefield or Pinchwood for the bigger fish, and Doddy certainly showed the way on how to do that. I mean, some of those catches he's had this year, I think 9.3 is his best, but fair play to him.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be hard pushed to find a better all-round angler than, and that's sticking in my throat a bit, but Andy Dodd. He's a cracking guy, and I know we take the mickey out of him all the time, but he deserves it a lot of the time. But he's a cracking guy, and he will share his knowledge. If anyone sees him on the bank, go and pull him up. He's all too willing to share.
No, fair play to him. And now you have to award the fish picture of the month. And, are you going to give it to Doddy or not?
No. He gets enough. He's got an hat anyway. I gave him an hat.
All right. Then. Who's getting it this month then, Deb?
Going back to the Cottage Lane thing, and Rob Walton has led the way on there. Now we can't give him another hat. So one of the guys that I know Rob has sort of taken under his wing a little bit and showed him a few little bits and pieces on Cottage Lane was Mark Lambert. And I think the whole story about the camaraderie we've got within Reading District, and where anglers that are doing well are quite happy to show other anglers how to go. I'm not saying that Mark can't catch fish, but he's been given a couple of pointers and things like that. So the whole story, the whole thing about it, and as I've said, this isn't a big fish, it's about going angling, and this is a really good story. So Mark, you've got yourself a cap and you can choose whether you want some carp fishing stuff or some coarse angling stuff, courtesy of Robertson Bait and Tackle. Just let us know and we'll make sure it's in the hut for you.
Fabulous. Congratulations, Mark. So, Jim, fishing prospects for June onwards. What do you reckon?
Well, I think there's going to be quite a bit to go at. For starters, it's going to be your tench and your carp. A lot of the carp are really starting to show over the big pits now. A few have started to have a go at spawning, so once they've had their spawning and they've done their due for the year, they'll definitely be wanting a bit of bait, so it's definitely going to be a good time to be targeting the carp. The tench, I think we're going to keep feeding through the summer. There's been a few signs of them spawning, but yeah, they'll be on the feed for sure. And definitely the next thing you're going to want to be doing is sorting out your kit for the river season. We're only a few weeks away now. River season comes early on in the season, where it's going to be sort of fairly hot and warm weather. I think you want to be sort of targeting the faster sections of river, find the sort of shallow areas. Yeah, and I think you'll do well. And
of course we've got shallow and fast water both on our Loddon stretches, our Kennet stretches, and we've got access to the fast water downstream of the weir at Benson, haven't we, at Wallingford?
Yeah, there's plenty of good areas to go at, but just be aware there might be a few fish spawning still, so just steer clear of them and just sit there and have a watch for a few hours and just enjoy it.
And of course there are other species. I mean, people target the chub and the barbel, but I mean, bream and perch spawn long before they do. I mean, the perch and bream will be well mended by now. So, you know, if the chub are spawning, or the barbel are spawning, you know, there are plenty of other species to have a go at, aren't
definitely, there? Yeah, another good place ready for June the 16th will be Longwater Lake. So it's definitely worth a go over there. You can get a good bag of fish over there. What you want to do is probably sort of maybe fish or swim for a couple of hours. If it's not happening, it's always worth a move over there. But if you get on a few fish over there, you can have a great day's fishing, and there's plenty of 4-pound perch to be caught in there, that's for sure.
And some lovely tench as well. But just remind people, Jim, for Longwater, you've got to book in through security, haven't you?
Yeah, so fishing starts from 7 o'clock in the morning on Longwater. It's daylight fishing hours only, and what you have to do is, as you drive into Longwater Lake, go through the first set of lights, and then the first building on your left-hand side, that's 100 Longwater. Go into the reception area there, sign yourself in the book, and you're good for a day's fishing.
Fabulous. Well, thanks very much for your advice, and let's hope people get some big tench, some big carp, some great fish from the river, and I'm looking forward to seeing some pictures on Longwater.
Yep, should be good.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, so that's it for this month. I hope you found that useful. Just a couple of things Del asked me to remind everybody. This time of year, there's a lot of young birds out there, particularly the goslings. They will get inside your tackle. Don't leave baited rigs on your rods or around, because there is a danger of hooking up on a young bird, and none of us want that. Also, as a club, we have a policy of not closing our waters just because one species of fish is spawning. We rely on the common sense of anglers. So, you know, if you do see spawning fish, leave them to do their thing. They are recruiting in our interest as well as their own. They are the future. So, hope that was useful. Have a great time, and tight lines.